Hello, in this video I have my first ever game in the Konigsberg to show you. This is the, well, soon to be German Tier 5 light cruiser. And at the moment you can get one by killing 4 enemy ships while you are driving a Japanese ship Tier 4 and above, and I managed to do that in my Isokaze. I actually sunk 5 ships, but 4 and above will do. And well, I'm going to start off by saying that initially I was very excited to see the German cruisers come into the game. I was really looking forward to them. But then, once I started seeing the stats of these ships, I became increasingly less keen about them. I should also say that in my video where I was kind of talking about the new German cruiser line, I actually got the Konigsberg wrong. I was guessing it was the World War I version of the Konigsberg, when in fact it's the World War II version. Which is probably good, because this Konigsberg's a better ship than the World War I version. I mean, kind of obviously it's about a decade more advanced. But, well, the Konigsberg's really got one good thing going for it, which is that it's got fantastic guns. But other than that, it's not all that good a ship. Basically it gets 950mm guns. You'll notice that the rear turrets are offset, which gives it weird firing arcs, but the firing angles of this ship, they're not great, but they're also not awful, kind of average. But the guns, they fire fast, they fire very far, and they are pretty accurate, and they also, I was going to say they fire fast, well I already said that. They do a fair bit of damage when they hit, especially armour piercing damage. They have very good armour piercing shells. But that is where the strengths of the Konigsberg kind of end. My main concern about this ship is that it doesn't have very good survivability. You see, it's only got 24,000 hit points, which is bad for a Tier 5 cruiser, but not awful. However, when you take into account that it's also got the thinnest armour of the Tier 5 cruisers, and it's the slowest, and I believe it's also got the slowest rudder shift time and the largest turning radius. I mean, this is a ship which can't really take hits, although as you saw there, I just dealt out the damage to that Omaha. Fired 9 shots, got 4 regular penetrations and 4 citadel penetrations, and there's another citadel penetration. And just like that, that Omaha's lost 2/3 of its health, and I'm still firing away at it, but since it's turning away, I'm losing the easy shot into the citadel that I had. But I really think that engagement that I just had is the kind of ones you're going to be hoping to get in the Konigsberg. We're at kind of medium range against a light cruiser with thin armour, and you can just put your armour piercing shells to work. And unfortunately for me, the Omaha's turning broadside onto me again, so I'm able to get the kill there with 2 more citadel hits. But yeah, I think that if this ship comes within 8 kilometers, say, of an enemy light cruiser, or actually probably an enemy cruiser other than the Cleveland, I think this will be a very good ship and a very dangerous one to fight against. But, well, as I was saying, it can't really take hits, it doesn't have the armour to bounce shots, it doesn't have the hit points to absorb them. It also can't really dodge shots, although you just saw me dodge a few. It's just the worst of the cruisers at dodging shots, thanks to its slow speed, poor manoeuvrability. And the only thing it's really got going for it is its guns. And that's kind of the trend I see in the German destroyers, at least looking at their stats. They all, well, below Tier 8, they tend to have quite low hit points. Tier 8, 9 and 10, that reverses and they get very large hit point pools. But at all tiers they have kind of thin armour, and they're generally slow. I think the only tier where there's a cruiser slower was Tier 3, where there's a St. Louis. So they're slow, they're not very manoeuvrable, they've got poor armour. Quite often they've got low hit points. But they make up for it by having lots of guns, and their guns are quite rapid firing and very accurate. And you see my poor survivability really hurt me there. I took, well, I think those were high explosive hits from this Myogi and possibly the Wyoming behind it. Lost about 1/3 of my health, and there's another hit, so managed to get in, wrecked my engine. And I just used my repair ability to put out the fire, so I'm going to have to wait for another minute and 15 seconds to fix my engine. Fortunately, I just got behind this island, which is going to, you know, stop preventing the enemy from shooting at me for the next little bit. And well, I've been doing pretty well up to that point. I mean, I've done a lot of damage. I've probably done my share of the team's damage, to be honest, by this point already. But I've lost almost a third of my hit points. I'm basically crippled at this particular moment. If the enemy... Well, if this island wasn't here, I'd probably be dead right now. But I managed to get incredibly lucky in the point where they actually wrecked my engine. And I think that's going to be the big drawback of the German cruisers, is that they're going to be fantastic when the situation is going to their advantage, but it's going to be very easy for them to get caught off guard, as I was here by... Well, I was just caught broadside by a couple of battleships, and I've suffered for it. And there's just not going to be a very high margin of error in how you can play these ships, which makes me think they're going to be quite popular with high-skilled players who can kind of capitalise on its firepower while minimising the risks of its low survivability. Unfortunately, with a wrecked engine, there's not much I can do to dodge this torpedo, but luckily my repair actually was back online, so I saved it till after that torpedo hit, just in case it started flooding. But I'm now able to start accelerating and getting out of here. And looking at the mini-map, I've basically decided that this engagement over here, I am helping, but a light cruiser firing away at battleships isn't really exactly an effective use of my firepower, whereas instead there are a couple of cruisers approaching our allied aircraft carrier, and I'm pretty better off going and trying to defend it than helping my team out against these battleships. But while I'm retreating, I might as well put a few more shots into these battleships here. Well, really it's just this Wyoming I'm shooting at, but doing a little bit of damage every salvo, so it's helping. One thing I should mention about the Konigsberg is that I actually found its anti-aircraft guns quite disappointing. On paper, they should be pretty good. It's got a decent battery of 37mm guns, which are effective out to 3 kilometers. And, like, on comparison, they're actually slightly better than the 40mm Boffers on the Omaha with the upgraded hull. So I thought this would actually be a pretty decent anti-aircraft ship. So I actually put the anti-aircraft guns range booster on it just to see what it was like. But, well, this whole match I've been kind of shooting away at enemy aircraft, and I haven't shot any of them down. And in fact, none of the matches, you know, I've never shot down an aircraft in the Konigsberg, despite the fact that I've got my anti-aircraft range boost on. And I think it's just because, while the 37mm guns on this are quite effective, it's not backed up by any significant firepower above 3 kilometers or below 2 kilometers, whereas the Omaha, which is the obvious nearest equivalent, it's got much better firepower with its 76mm guns out to 5 kilometers, and much better firepower within 2 kilometers thanks to its 20mm guns. But Konigsberg just can't compete in the anti-aircraft gunfight, and I was really disappointed. But anyway, I've managed to reach the 2 enemy cruisers here. This first one's taken a lot of damage, mostly from my team, though I've put in a bit. But I actually forgot to switch my ammo back to armour piercing, and I only realised just now that I've been firing the wrong one, so I fire one last high explosive broadside, then switch to armour piercing. Unfortunately, I've actually lost a lot of my hit points already fighting these 2 cruisers, but one armour piercing broadside there did a fair bit of damage. This next one unfortunately doesn't do all that much, and I've spotted an enemy destroyer here, so I'm going to have to fire just one last broadside of armour piercing, then switch back to high explosive to deal with it. Fortunately, there's an island here which I'm about to put between me and the enemy, and it also gives me the opportunity to use, well, a new weapon on these cruisers, which is the torpedoes. As far as torpedoes go, they're pretty good, they're pretty fast, they have a 6-kilometer range, they do a fair bit of damage when they hit. The thing is, these cruisers are, these torpedoes are basically the torpedoes the Germans get up the cruiser line, So they don't really get much better than this, so it's kind of a case of what's good at tier 5 is kind of average at tier 10. But, well, it's good enough to kill that destroyer. Unfortunately, it kills me as well. And perhaps even more unfortunately, we go on to lose this match. But, as you'll see in a second, I really did my share of damage. I was easily top of my team in terms of experience and probably everything else, to be honest. 7 Citadel hits and 122 regular hits, plus 1 torpedo, sunk 2 ships. And yeah, Konigsberg. If this is what the German cruisers are like, I actually suspect a lot of people won't particularly... well, it's hard to say. I think people will like the firepower of these ships, but I think people will also get very frustrated with the amount they are being citadeled and just how easy these ships are to destroy. Like, I could really see these ships... Well, if you've watched any of my battleship videos, you know that I just love when I see a Tenru or a Kuma, because that's just free damage for me. And I really think you can probably add the German cruisers to that list, because they have very thin armour. Well, I assume the citadels are quite large. I haven't really tested it, but they should be easy to citadel. They should be easy to kill since they've got low hit points. And I think players are going to find that frustrating. And I think, to be honest, I might find that a bit frustrating. But perhaps I'll also enjoy the challenge of having this ship, which... it's only really got one thing going for it, which is its excellent guns, and just trying to capitalise on that while making up for the fact that it's got no armour, it's got low hit points, it's got low speed, low manoeuvrability, and basically everything else going against it other than its guns. So, well, as I said at the start, I was originally really excited for the German cruisers. Now, not so much, but hopefully I can still probably find them challenging is a better word rather than find them fun. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time.